back to the www.PlaidAvenger.com, where we just don't want to hear the news. We want to understand that news. And hopefully now you understand a whole hell of a lot more of current events news after watching our now 4-part series on the Af-Pak border, the situation in Afghanistan and in Pakistan, but of course mostly focused on that nebulous netherworld in the middle where all of the chaos has been caused. We started out this whole Af-Pak insanity routine talking about the NATO supply lines that had been disrupted inside of Pakistan, which is kind of bizarre because Pakistan is a NATO ally, and those fuel trucks and supply trucks that are supplying the vital resources to the NATO troops fighting in Afghanistan were stopped at the border, a lot of them attacked and burned, and it looked like this is all hell breaking loose, and Pakistan's pissed at the United States, and they've been plagued by natural disasters and lots of other horrific things, and oh my God, the whole Pakistani-U.S. relationship is going into the toilet. Yes, it actually is still not doing well here 2 weeks later. However, they did just get a $2 billion foreign aid package from the United States. That's right. The United States just said this week, $2 billion check. Here you go, Pakistan. Okay, what the hell is going on with this? And let's sum up everything we learned and really what's happening here and so we can predict the future. Let's entitle this Summary Plaidcast, Pissed Off Pakistan Gets Paid. That's right, $2 billion worth of paid. All right, well, now that you've seen all of the stuff that the Plaid Avengers talked about, just a quick summary to put it all in context for what we're going to talk about today. 2001, the 9/11 attacks on the United States, of course, probably hatched and put forward by Al-Qaeda, a group of terrorists slash whatever that were being harbored by the Afghan Taliban in Afghanistan. This is the year 2001. Keep the story straight now. And the United States went to their NATO brothers and said, hey, we've been attacked. We're going to call up NATO Article 5. All you countries have to help us go into Afghanistan and get Al-Qaeda. So we're going to attack Afghanistan to get not the Afghan Taliban. Remember, that was never the goal. It was to go get Al-Qaeda. The U.S., of course, went to the Afghan Taliban first and said, hey, give us Al-Qaeda and we'll leave you alone. And the Taliban said, ha ha ha, we don't think so. Which is why the whole U.S. NATO invasion of Afghanistan occurred. I'm going to say it for the 20th time. The U.S. NATO invasion happened to go get Al-Qaeda. It was never intended to go get the Afghan Taliban. That was not the strategic goal. And I'm telling you this for the 20th time because you're increasingly hearing it said by the United States, the U.S. military, and others that, oh yeah, that was never the strategic goal. We're not here to battle the Taliban. And they're saying this, by the way, because they're going to start asking the Taliban to come back to the peace negotiating table to try to finish off this mess so they can get the hell out of Dodge. So that's a little side caveat. The whole invasion was to get Al-Qaeda. In the process, of course, they overthrew the Afghan Taliban since they wouldn't give up Al-Qaeda. And thus, we now have this protracted, now 9-year war. Of course, when the U.S. and NATO invaded Afghanistan, the head honchos of the Taliban, the upper crust, the superstructure, the guys with the real power, and a lot of their henchmen, they hauled ass south to Pakistan. They went right across the border, as did most of Al-Qaeda. They didn't stick around and fight the U.S. and NATO for the last 9 years. I mean, some of them did, but the command structure and the most important people, of course, went down to places like Waziristan. You know where that's at now. That's in Pakistan. That's part of the whole chaos of this whole mess, is the people that the U.S. and NATO went in there to get are no longer there. They're in Pakistan next door. Well, that shouldn't be a big deal. Pakistan's a U.S. ally. Yes, but Pakistan is a sovereign state, and Pakistan does not want to have the U.S. and NATO invade them. And thus, stay with me, thus is the reason that the United States and NATO have been doing cross-border attacks into Pakistani territory. with the drones. This is now becoming the drone war. You know, those drones, those unmanned rockets that are remote controlled that the US and NATO are using to fly across the Af-Pak border into Pakistan to hit strategic targets where they think terrorists are, where they think Al-Qaeda is, where they think Afghan Taliban leaders are. That has been going on now for the last 5 to 6 or 7 years, and they have been increasing those attacks exponentially. And now you understand why, I hope, because everybody knows where the bad guys are. They're down there in Pakistan, in North Waziristan, but all the way up to that northwest frontier province, all of those places in the western fringe of Pakistan, mountainous areas that the Pakistani military and the government does not have a whole lot of strategic control over. So that is why these drone attacks have been increasing. And just to give you a few numbers, off the top of my head, in the original year, the invasion 2001, and the following year 2002, they weren't doing any drone attacks. There was no cross-border attacks into Pakistan because everybody was still feeling it out. They just run away down there, and the NATO looked like they were winning, and so the war was just going on in and around, say, Kandahar or Kabul, the capital. It wasn't until 2004 and 2005 when intelligence started to be gathered that said, hey, the people we want are actually over in Pakistan. That's when the drone attack started. I believe there were 5 registered drone attacks or recorded drone attacks in 2005. And here in 2010, over 750. That is some serious growth of drone attacks, man. And they are going to continue to increase. Now, we started this whole little mini Plaid series because Pakistan had, a U.S. ally, had cut off those NATO supply lines through their territory because they were so pissed about one of these cross-border attacks that was conducted by NATO. That attack actually was not a drone attack. It wasn't an unmanned rocket. It was actually a NATO helicopter attack where NATO helicopters came across an international border into Pakistani territory and rocket bombed some shit and tried to hit some strategic targets. And that's when they accidentally killed 3 Pakistani military dudes who were sitting there apparently like waving white flags going, hey, we're the good guys. And they got killed anyway. And that is why the Pakistani people got infuriated. That's why the Pakistani government got infuriated. But mostly, let's be honest, the Pakistani military got infuriated. And of all of those 3 entities, it's the Pakistani military that you don't want to piss off. They're the ones who are helping the US and NATO. So when they lost their 3 guys several weeks ago, they said to hell with this. They're the ones who called for the NATO shutdown of the convoy, and thus the convoy was then attacked by Pakistani Taliban, by Afghan Taliban, by Al-Qaeda people, and it just turned into a huge mess. Now, that was several weeks back, okay? Pakistan is pissed off about these drone attacks. They're pissed off about the cross-border attacks, period. Pakistan military has been pressured heavily by the United States and NATO, but mostly by the United States, to step up their campaign, to step up. The U.S. is saying, come on, dudes. We all know they're down there. You guys have to go get them. Go get Osama bin Laden. Go get the Taliban. Come on, Pakistani military. We'll give you more money and more guns to step up and go attack these people. I hope you know why that's problematic already. The Pakistani military, of course, has ties to the Afghan Taliban. It was the Pakistani military and the Pakistani Secret Service, or the CIA, the ISI, they're the ones who helped foster and create the Taliban in the first place. And so they are very hesitant to say, well, okay, US and NATO, you guys decided to go into this place, which by our standards was stable and doing fine under the Afghan Taliban. You guys shook up that damn hornet's nest. All the bees flew down into our territory, and now you're saying that we have to go get them, and you're pressuring us to go attack the people which 30 years ago you paid us to create. Are you starting to see the Pakistani fury over this entire situation and this entire mess? That is why there is so much anti-US sentiment in Pakistan through all levels of society, why the Pakistani military itself is hesitant to do anything to the Taliban, and increasingly with cross-border attacks which are killing their soldiers, killing that is happening by US and NATO forces. That's not helping the situation. It's not helping the Pakistani military get behind this movement at all. So now you're starting to see how deep the shit is in this Af-Pak border, this whole U.S. NATO campaign against the Afghan Taliban.